Alright, so we got another game here that I want to show you. My opponent opens with e4. I reply with d5, sorry, d4, and I reply with d5. He gets his knight out, I get my knight out, and then he opens his pawn, so he can probably just open up his bishop. I like to do the Italian, where, of course, this is a variation of the Suka tool, wherever the hell that is. But when you have a pawn, knight, and bishop in this sort of structure, it's typically the Italian, but of course the queen's there, so it's not, I guess. But you know what I mean. So he attacks my bishop, which is hanging, so I don't see a reason why he wouldn't do that. And then I simply just defend with my queen, of course, opening the sights for a queenside castle. He replies with taking the bishop, which I was a bit surprised, and then I take back, having my queen nice and open. Then he castles, and I don't castle yet because I want to develop just some more my minor pieces, which I do. He attacks my queen. I push back, attacking his knight. I push up, sorry, attacking his knight. He then puts his knight back to the position it was previously. Then I castle queenside. He then develops his knight to the point where he's attacking my queen. And then I just push it back simply just to get in a safe place. And then he pushes his pawn down, trying to activate his knight. Because if I take here, his knight will take. And then now his knight is more active and more ahead in the chessboard. Then I push my pawn up just to activate my dark square bishop here. He then again moves his knight in the same place to attack my queen in the same place. Don't know why. Simply just move my queen, so it's attacking the knight and is out of danger. He then replies with moving his knight again, attacking my queen again. I then move in between the knights, of course, targeting both of them. And then he pushes his pawn down to attack my queen, kicking it away. Then I move it to, I think, probably probably the best square to move it to. Then he takes the pawn. And there's something here. I could either take with my c pawn, or I could take my rook. The reason why I did with my rook is because rook will also protect the queen. Knight is protected by the rook and pawn. And it just gives a lot of vision to the chessboards, which is obviously really, really nice. Now, he tries to develop his queen. I push my pawn. This might have not been the best move because this knight is now hanging. But my whole point of this was, it was just to kick away his knight. And then he attacks my rook at the same time. And then I have to move my rook to a safe square, which I do. And then he pushes his pawn again. But I simply just take his knight and then he takes my knight. Simple as. I just wanted to get rid of the knight. It was annoying. And just open up the board a little bit. Now I try to develop my knight to attack the queen. He moves his queen in the middle of the board probably just to move it to safety. Now I move my queen over here to b5 because I was thinking about taking the rook, but then I realized if I take my rook as king can take, which was a bit of a mistake by me, but regardless, it still moves my queen to a good square to attack, so I guess it's alright. He tries to fork me, which doesn't work because then I just move my rook down and my queen's protecting my knight. He then tries to kick away my knight. Now I move my queen over to d3 simply because his queen can't take because my queen is protecting. And now he moves his knight down. Very obvious. He was going to try take my pawn here and then of course attack the rook at the same time. But I decide, hell, I'm gonna let him just do that because I'm gonna just take this pawn right here, which I do. Then he takes that pawn. I move my rook to safety, and then he actually wins a pawn with check. And now I see it. I blundered because instead of taking his queen, I block with my queen, which is just a horrendous mistake by me that I'm only realizing now. It's so bad. It's so bad, man. Like, I deserve to be like 400 elo, bro, because it's so bad, bro, honestly. But then I do block with my queen, and then he moves back, attacking my knight. Then I take his knight, and he takes my... Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot what happened here. Then I take his knight, blundering my queen, because he can just take, which he does. Trust me, I win this game. I don't know how. I should have lost. I protect my rook. I don't know what the hell he was trying to do here. I think what he thought is because if I took this, he thought he could promote the pawn, which was just so wrong. Because as you can see, I took his queen, he took, and I just simply put my rook underneath the pawn. And then, yeah, he wasn't going to be able to promote it. He tries protecting it, but then he hung his bishop, which I just took my rook. Oh, sorry. Then he tries to attack my knight. I pulled my knight to safety. He tries to activate his rook, claim the e file. Then I push my pawn up because, of course, he could have taken this pawn here, but my king was protecting it. So I don't know why I actually did that. I could have just taken the pawn. It was another blunder or miss by me. This was a really bad game by me, but my opponent is even worse. Not trying to disrespect, but I'm gonna be real. The fact that I won this was crazy. And then he pushes his pawn down. I don't know why. I'd probably try to promote this one as well, or just try to attack my king pawns. And I finally take the pawn. He attacks my knight. I pull my knight down to d6. And I don't know what this move was because my pawn is clearly defending my knight. He can't take this because my king takes. So he moves that there for some odd reason. I double stack my rooks trying to take this pawn here on g2 to check the king. He pushes it down because he saw it. Now, I attack the rook. I possibly could have just pushed my pawn to h5 instead, but I attack the rook. He protects his rook by, of course, putting his rook on top of his rook because they protect each other. But then I push my pawn to h5. Hopefully he takes, which he doesn't. Again, I don't know what the point of this move was. I take his pawn, he takes, I take a check. Now he moves away. Now I could either check, take the rook, but then his rook would take here, so trade the rooks. But I decided that I'm gonna push my pawn and be greedy and try to get the queen. So for some odd reason, instead of like moving his king down for his rook to claim this file here, he tries to attack my rook. Sorry. And what I saw here is that this is a bit of a blunder because if he takes my rook, I get to push up. And oh, no, because he just moves his pawn, right? So it's black to move. If I push my pawn, he can't move here to attack my pawn because my rook will be protecting it. So he's going to be forced to take the rook, and then I could just promote, which is quite literally what I did. Bang! Now, I could have either took the rook, but that doesn't really make sense because I sacked the rook for it. So I took the hanging pawn. Then he moves his rook to safety. I don't know why. Because if I took here, his rook can just take. But then I take his rook, and then yeah, okay, I see why I did that now. Now I check, trying to win his pawn, which I do. And now I do. Oh yeah, then I win this other pawn right here. And then he pushes his rook down. I don't know why he did this, probably just to protect his king, or he just didn't know what to do. But then I saw this as a good opportunity to trade the rooks, which I do, and then he takes back with king, and then I check him here. As I can see, I got a nice check there. And then I check him with his knight, just to push him back even more. Check with knight, he goes back. And then I have to be really careful here because he has an open rook just sniping my queen. I check again. He can only move to this square, I'm pretty sure, which he has to do. And then I simply check him here, and then I win the rook with check as well. He goes down, and then I let him take the knight because I promote to a queen, unless there's less of a chance for me to stalemate. And then I simply just build a nice bridge for him for the checkmate. So I think that was a cool game to see because me and my opponent blundered, which is kind of funny. But regardless, it was still a good game, funny game, and miraculous. Oh, well, I cannot say that word. Miraculously, if that's even a word, I still won. Which, hey, I ain't complaining about that. Alright, so see you in the next video, I guess. Come on.